Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week. Now, we're talking about some newer plants or plants that I think you should consider putting into your garden in 2017, where you have plants that either drive you crazy, are bored with, and you want to get rid of, or ones that maybe just have never performed. So I'm going to run through a bunch. There are different ones in different groups, and you want to make sure that you pick the one that best suits your gardening, your garden, and your abilities to spend time and deal with its issues. So, you may want to do some easy gardening. You may want to do some I want to have a hands-on as much as possible type of gardening, or somewhere in between. So a lot of these plants will be one or the other. Now let's start with one of the old ones. Now, Carya japonica has been around forever. I mean, my father had it in his garden because it filled the corner, and it was the Floraplena, now known as Pleniflora, because it has the double flowers that are golden, okay? I like it. It works. It spread quite refreshingly across, and I used to have to trim it for him by using a spade to keep it within bounds. I don't think this Floraplena is quite that aggressive, but hey, take a look. Maybe, but at least you know that it's going to fill the space. The first one is called Golden Guinea, and it is the large single flower in early spring and throughout the summer. It has the bright green stems, which is very, very distinctive. And it does great things in the fact that it survives in partial shade or in full sun. And I've grown it in partial shade, these guys, and that's exactly the best place for them. So you can grow them in the shade. They will still do well, but not quite as floriferous as semi-shade. Okay. Now, Golden Guinea is going to be about 3 to 5 feet high, hardy to zone 5, and sort of have a rounded, wide stance in your garden. So remember, wide. Okay. Then there's Cat's Eye, and this is a variegated sport from one of the others called Shannon. It will go into the shady areas as well and sort of brighten it up because of course, the variegation is there. You're going to get the creamy white leaf margins, the bright yellow flowers, and green stems, so it's really quite a nice variety. The green stems you will even show up quite well in the winter garden. This one is a little more compact. It's a little more upright in its habit. It's good for containers, better be large containers, and it's great in the garden. You got a plant that is hardy to zone 5 and is 1.5 to 3 feet tall and wide, but it is a little more upright, so somewhere in there. It probably is the one to choose overall if it's a smaller, tighter area, where the other two have a tendency to spread out. There is a Quercus. Now, this Quercus is a beauty bush. I like beauty bushes, but again, they usually only give you interest for about 2 weeks in mid to late May, and that's it. Okay, huge and very floriferous, but huge plants. Now, there is one, it's called Dreamcatcher. Again, it's still going to be a big plant. Cascades over, so it comes up and over. It's almost like a haystack. 6 to 9 feet tall, and you'll probably see it get that size in width because it does cascade over. So you need the room for it. The interest is in the spring bloom, so it blooms at about the same time. Hardy to zone 4, 6 to 9 feet. It will grow in partial or filtered shade as well, but I think for best performance, most of them go into full sun. But this one, Dreamcatcher, prefers light or partial shade. And it's because the foliage is golden. Okay? And so it's kind of nice in the fact that the leaves are golden. It's supposedly going to give you that golden orange color in the fall. And as a result, it's got a little bit more yellow during the summer as well. So it's an interesting plant, and one you may want to consider filling a space in an open or, let's say, a rougher part of your garden. That's probably the way I would use it. Now, there is golden privets around. Now, golden privets have been around forever. I mean, forever and ever and ever. They were old when I was young. So, there is one now called Golden Thicket. Now, this Golden Thicket, okay, is going to have an interesting effect in the fact that even though it's a privet, it has a fragrance. It's got a lot of yellow into the leaves. And so it's compact, which is good because they have a tendency to get a little out of hand. And it grows, obviously, like most privets, either for a hedge or a specimen. You can even use this as a cut for cutting, for interesting arrangements, but also as a container plant. It's going to be 4 to 6 feet and is hardy to zone 5. It may be a consideration. It's supposed to be less problems than its predecessors, like the Golden Vickery, which has a tendency to revert quite badly and very regularly. So I would say, no, let's try that one. I'm going to put a little question mark on this one. This one is your honeysuckle vine. It has a tendency to be big, 10 feet, hardy to zone 4. It has that white and yellow, and it's called Sensation. So it's Scentsation. Hardy to zone 4, but it's 9 feet. Okay? It's going to be very fragrant, and it has that yellow from about mid-spring to about late summer. The fall has red berries. You'll like it as a plant, but it's going to need to be trained and trellised or etc. Can get out of hand, but not as much as the other. So it's basically considered almost non-invasive. So hopefully that's a good sign. So it was the climbing plant of the year for 2016. So you may want to take a look at that one for a serious, easy to grow vine covering up something unsightly like a neighbor. Okay? Haskaps, the sweetberry honeysuckle. Now, sweetberry honeysuckle or haskap is actually sort of looks like an elongated blueberry. It's supposed to taste a little bit like a raspberry blueberry in taste. It's great for fresh eating. It goes into sauces, jams. You can mix it into ice cream, yogurt, and smoothies. You can have lots of good things with this. And it's just super packed full of good vitamins. So it's considered a superfruit. It has more vitamin C, potassium, and fiber than citrus does. So I think you may want to grow this one. Now, it does get a little out of hand. By that I mean it's not exactly always the smallest of plants. You're going to have a little bit of room for this guy, but he is worth it, and you're going to have to keep the animals away as well. There is one called Sugar Mountain Blue. It's the sweetest of them all, okay, in taste. It is perfect for fresh eating, and it will do really well as a hedge. So quite upright reasonably upright in its habit. 5 to 6 feet tall, hardy to zone 3, people. Now we're talking hardy here, okay? You will find with this one that if you cross it with another variety called Sugar Mountain S-Bar, you will find that you'll get better fruit set. It is self-pollinating, but you'll find that it does much better if you cross-pollinate with the other variety. The other variety still going to give you that nice fruit, and it'll do the job of helping you cross-pollinate to get more. The S-Bar is also good for drying and for processing. Very low maintenance, so that's always a good thing. Again, 5 to 6 feet, hardy to zone 3. It likes the sun, but it will take light partial shade. The Yazerberry Honey Bunch. Now, this one is, again, like the Haskap, very sweet, compact. It's 3 to 5 feet, so it's a little smaller, hardy to zone 3. It's a newer variety, great for the home landscape. And you can go and use this either for freezing or processing or fresh eating, which is always a good thing. So, and again, it's got that flavor of the raspberry blueberry. And then there's Yazberry Maxi. 5 to 6 feet, hardy to zone 3. It has good yields, so you're going to get good amount from this as well. It does prefer another Yazberry to cross with to get maximum fruit set. You will like this one simply because it has larger fruit than the other Yazberries, which is good. I mean, in some cases, bigger is better, and this is one of those times. Solo is another Yazberry, 5 to 6 feet, hardy to zone 3. This will set fruit very well without a pollinator. So this one might be the best one to go into a garden. It does have slightly larger fruit than most. Good for fresh eating. Can process it into sauce, jams, and jellies. And I think you'll probably like this one. It's an interesting plant with high yields, and therefore with high yields you're going to get more and better harvesting as well. So there's something a little different that's easier to grow, much hardier than many plants, and good for you. Really good for you as well. If you want something else that's good for you, of course, you've got the goji berries. Remember that goji berries do have some blind spurs on them, which is like thorns. And the result is that you have to go and be very careful with this one when you're doing and picking and pruning. You may also have to control its spread as well. So there are some issues with spread and with thorns, but it's supposedly very good for you. It's got lots of antioxidants, so a lot of people like it. It likes full sun, and it does like a rich soil, okay, as well. But don't make it too rich, because otherwise it'll continue to spread a little further, a little quicker. The first one is Big Life Berry. It has the extra large fruit, which just is a little easier to harvest if it's a little larger. Hardy to zone 5, but it's 10 feet. So we're not talking small here. Okay? Sweet berry, Sweet Life Berry, I should say, is another one. And it is good for drying as well. So it's hardy to zone 5, still going to be about 9-10 feet, and likes the sun. So you've got those two varieties of goji berries, and they're supposedly very good for you. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.